Hey guys, how's it going? Today we will talking about the problems of groundwater. Actually, it was problems of groundwater is protection, but our professor assigned one topic from two students, so I will covering the first one and the other will be covered by my classmate. But before that, maybe you're asking right now, what is groundwater? Groundwater is a reservoir of water that can be found underground above the cracks and the spaces in the soil. In short, the water can be found underground. It is the water that was collected from the precipitation to the reservoir of water that is called aquifers. Have you ever seen some people in the streets where a group of people digging the ground but there's some muddy water coming out? That's groundwater. I will ask you that, did you know that most of our water that we consume daily are coming from groundwater? It is because when the precipitated water goes through underground, it is being filtered by the soil. If you experience this in your soil mechanics, you should be familiar by this by now. Because the soil layers filter all the impurities when precipitated water, so that's why it is clean when we consume it. Also, groundwater helps improve production since it is being used on irrigation on crops. Also, some industrial firms, groundwater makes an important component. Diba yung source ng ating drinking water is somewhere from dams, somewhere from waterfalls, etc. But some drinking water that we drink daily are coming from the groundwater. To the topic that we should talk about, it is the problems of the groundwater. Main issue that we face when it comes to groundwater is the groundwater depletion. The major effect of groundwater depletion is like what you see on the image na nauga ang mayuta. Groundwater is a good renewable source of water for the next 5,000 or even 10,000 years. Sa unang panahon, katong main source of water is coming from the wells or katong sa mga poso na ipump nimo. Dahil magiging source of water that we use daily sa unang panahon, pero as the time goes by, humans need water for their daily consumption.
Ooh, self-burn. Those are rare.
People pump groundwater on a faster rate, making it effectively cuts off the groundwater supply. Then how groundwater naturally replenishes it. Most of our source of groundwater is naturally replenishes it naturally by rain or by something like heavy rains. Because as humans really need water daily, we pump out so much groundwater that even the groundwater supply will being depleted. Some water on rocks will be too mineralized to be usable. Negative effects of groundwater depletion caused by pumping are drying up wells, water reduction on streams and lakes, land subsidence, increasing on pumping costs, and water deterioration. Let's talk about them one by one. First was the drying up the wells. The problem was the effect of excessive pumping out groundwater on wells. For the location change, we humans need water to survive. But as the time goes by, especially we're living the modern era, where whether we cook, we go to work, or even making a machine, we need water. Because the community needs a large amount of water for daily usage, people drilled out wells to locate where the source of groundwater is abundant. And when the height of the groundwater where the well was located is short, people will find another source for groundwater. Since the fact that we barely need water, we pump out water at a higher rate, like a very high amount of water. That makes our water table looks like this. Because like what I said, the groundwater replenishes slowly in a natural manner, like 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 due to precipitation, the water in the wells dried up, due to the fact that the level of water wasn't reached to the well's depth anymore. Second was the water reduction on streams and lakes. Streams and lakes and groundwater had some connections. Because some water flowing in streams from comes from the seepage of groundwater on the stream bed. Groundwater really contributes to the physiological and climatic settings. Groundwater pumping affects on how water discharges into the surface water or increasing the rate of groundwater flow that the surface that surface water into an aquifer. Lowering the water level on streams and lakes really affects the vegetation and the wildlife habitat. Since there's no nearby food, no I mean, since there's no nearby water, no life will exist. No plants will go or eventually die. So no food. And the animals will have no habitat to live in that will leave them from dying. So no food as well. Because most of the food that we eat are animal meat like pigs for example. The next one was the deterioration of water quality. Saltwater intrusion is one threat of our groundwater supply. All the water in the ground is not fresh water. The deep groundwater, even the waters below oceans are saline. That means the the surface is sometimes may contain siya na salt. Under natural conditions between both waters tends to be relatively stable. Because groundwater pumping is a thing, the activity that can cause salt water can excuse me, can cause salt water to migrate inland and upward. The result was a saltwater contamination in our water supply. To expand this thing, most groundwater is not fresh due to groundwater pumping that can cause some problems in our groundwater supply. The salt water enters our groundwater, making it contaminated and it might affect our health when we consume it. According to my research, salt water mostly coming from the sea can cause dehydration and may hinder the blood purification in our kidneys. I'm sorry for the location change again because I want to look handsome in this video. The next one was the land subsidence. Land subsidence is a loss of support below the ground. When the water was taken out of the soil collapses. In other words, when the water was taken out of the soil collapses like what I said, compacts and drops below. Because this situation really depends on the number of factors such as soil type and rocks below the surface. Land subsidence was also caused by human activities, removing subsurface water causing to land subsidence may result into soil erosion. The last one was the increasing in pumping costs. As the depth of water increases, water must be lifted higher until it reaches the Earth's surface. If pumps are used to lift the water, more energy is needed to drive the pump. Hence, the pumping cost for it was extremely expensive, and using the well it will be also expensive. My explanation to this one is, kung magamit ka well para malift yung water from the ground until sa earth surface, kailangan kag pump. Kung magamit kag pump, kailangan kung excuse me. Kung sino mo gamito ng ang pump nimo para i-pump nimo ang tubig, mas more energy, mas kailangan siya power para magamit nimo siya. So hence that's why it's so expensive. Here in Philippines, especially Davao City, we rarely use pumps or wells to get water underground. Mostly atong mga sources sa water is from dams, reservoirs, or even sa mga rivers. Sa mga bukid nagagamit mo sila mga wells, mga poso na bang bumba sa tubig para mugas sa tubig. Naman po yung uban part sa Davao City na nagya po sila well, pero ang nagagamit nila kay faucet na lang. Na may mga pumps ng faucet, pero di as in mas kailangan mo siya mas force exerted ba, kailangan siyang force na presa to sa bomba. So we rarely use groundwater here in the Philippines. Maybe some parts of the country they do, but here in Davao City we rarely use groundwater, especially sa atin. Yung the water we consume, we drink is from the reservoir for dams, etc. To sum it up, we must consider the possible problems that our groundwater that we may face. So in designing our wells, we must take this as a concern so that we can make the groundwater beneficial to others in the following years. Like what I said in the beginning, this is supposed to be prominence of groundwater and its protection, but two of us assigned one topic, so my classmate will be talking about the other part of the topic. So that's all for today. Hopefully na may makuha ni. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.